Hello, my name is Dawn Flood, and I'm the Program Director for Student Leadership Services. Many of you know me, some of you may not, that are tuning in and watching this video today. I wanted to introduce myself. I work with middle school and high school students all across the state. You probably heard of Students Leading Students, acronym SLS, or STAND, Students Taking a New Direction. Those are students and student groups that I work with all over the state of Michigan. And so today, as we are in the midst of a brand new school year, I wanted to touch base and come to you in a video to kind of talk about something that's been on my mind, something that I know that's not only on my mind, but also students, teachers, principals, social workers, counselors, parents, coaches, pretty much everybody right now as we are in the midst of a brand new school year. Many of us, we started school just this week. Some of us have been in school for a few weeks, and some of us even longer. And so what I want to talk to you about today is something that is really, really important and I feel needs to be addressed among each other. And that topic today that I want to talk about is grief. Now, you're probably thinking, grief? What are you talking about? Well, the reason I'm bringing up that word grief is because, believe it or not, many of us, including myself, is feeling grief as this school year of 2020-21 is getting started, as we're gearing up and getting there. And so grief comes in many different forms. Most of us when we think of the word grief, we think of the loss of a loved one, the loss of a job, the loss of a hobby, the loss of physical abilities, the loss of what we expected it to be. And true, that's what comes to our mind when you think of the word grief. But the grief that I'm talking about today is the grief that all of us are feeling, especially you students and especially you teachers and parents. You're feeling right now the loss of a traditional school year, and that's grief. So I want to help us put a name to it of the emotions that we're feeling. I want to kind of bring that conversation up because what you're all feeling, students, parents, teachers, principals, coaches, is normal. And we all are in that same boat. And so that's what I want to talk about today. What can we do right now to help with those emotions of that loss that we're feeling, that loss of the traditional riding the school bus, the loss of going into sitting in your classrooms, right next to your best friend, that loss of being in contact with your teachers 5 days a week and be able to run in their classroom and tell them I didn't understand or what was the homework, can you help me? That loss of gathering at the lockers first thing in the morning or at the breaks or after school talking to your buddies. That loss of gathering in the lunchroom, for that break, sharing food and your snacks. That loss of working out in the weight room, getting ready and conditioning for all those sports. The loss of, the traditional of playing sports without having to be 6 feet away from somebody, without having to wear masks. So those are just some of the losses right now that come to my mind that I can think of. And so that's what I want to talk about, because I think it's important that we have a conversation about grief and what can we do. So the first thing I'll say is that right now, this grief you're feeling today, the grief of the loss of a traditional school year, this situation is temporary. And I know that's hard to hear because, man, looking all the way to June 2021, the school year seems long, and we think, are we ever going to get back to the traditional aspect, or what some of us would say, the normal school life? We will. So right now, where you are, no matter what your school setting is, whether you're going to school 5 days a week, whether you're not in school and you're doing remotely or virtually from your house, it's temporary. So that's the first thing that we have to recognize when we're dealing with this grief. This situation right now is temporary. The second thing I want us to look at is we need to, right now, instead of focusing all our energy on, what it is we're missing out and being mad because we're mad. Part of the stages of grief is anger, and some of us are there. We're angry that we have to wear a mask when we play football. We're angry that we can't ride the school bus. We're angry that we have to do schooling on a computer all day long. So instead of focusing on that, what I want us to do is I want to focus on what is in your control. What is in your control? Well, a couple of things come to my mind when I think about that. What is in your control right now is how you wake up every day and the attitude you display. That's in your control. What else is in your control is how hard you work at your schoolwork and your assignments. What else is in your control, parents? How hard you work with your students, with your children, with helping them recognize that they're struggling. Other things that are in our control is how kind we are to people. It's in our control that we have the ability to recognize that other people may be struggling too. So find something that you want to focus on that you know is in your control, that is 100% your control that you can do. And that might be simple as, I can control what I wear today. It might be that. Focus on that. It might be, I can control what TV show I watch. Focus on that. I can control what food I eat. Focus on that. I can control how hard I work at that subject or how hard I work at that sport. So focus on that. So the second thing is focus on what is in your control. Another thing to help us through this grieving process right now is to take breaks. Yep, you heard me. Okay, and you say you can tell, your parents, you can tell your teachers, you can tell your friends. Dawn Flood said it is okay right now to take a break. Yes, you can. Take a break. Whether that's taking a break from the conversations that's in the news, because right now, let's face it, there's a lot going on. A lot going on besides how the school year is. So take breaks. Take breaks from electronics, technology. Some of us, we constantly are going to be in front of this, what I'm in front of right now with you is computers, because of how our job is set up right now or how our schooling is set up. So take a break. Go outside. Do something else to help focus on what's in your control. So take a break. And then another one is set boundaries. Let me say that again, okay? Because many of us, we need to hear that. We need to set boundaries. We are so busy right now. We have so many responsibilities. And students, you have a lot of responsibilities too, okay? All of us have so many responsibilities that sometimes we feel our time is being pulled in so many different directions, and we just don't have enough time for ourselves to schedule those routines or to nurture our physical and emotional health. So when you feel that you're stretched, I want you to set boundaries, because it's okay. And when I say set boundaries, that means set boundaries with your family, set boundaries with your friends, set boundaries with your teachers sometimes that you need to. And now I'm not talking about, being disrespectful or minimizing, the request that, they may be asking you, because we need to respect their needs as well, but we need to respect ours. And so if you need to take time for yourself and you need to say, you know what, I will get to that. I know that's important and I know I need to do that, but right now I can't. There's other things that I have to do. And that's a respectful way to set boundaries. That lets the person know, whoever it is, whether it's mom, dad, the teacher, your friends, your coach, that you it's important to you, you're acknowledging that, and you are still going to make that commitment, whatever that was. But for right now, you need to step back and take that time for yourself. And that's okay, all right? That's okay to do. Another thing that helps with grief, set a routine. Routines can be helpful. And now I know we're starting to get back into a routine because now the school's in session. So we have the routine up. We have to be up at a certain time, right? And we have to get on the bus if we're going to school in person, or we have to log in on our Google Classroom if it's remotely, or if you're doing the virtual education, you have to have a routine of when you're going to do your assignments. So get into that routine, especially since we're kind of coming off of no routine that we've had for a while. So routines help. And part of your routine is not only doing your responsibilities that you have for school and work and jobs and sports, because we have those responsibilities and we have a routine for that. But the other type of routine I'm talking about is scheduling your time of things that you can control. So for example, schedule a routine time to be physically active, go outside, play some basketball, do something physical, even if it's going for a walk. Schedule some time to take care of your emotional health. Your emotional health is just as important as your physical health. So do things that nurture your emotions, read that book that you've been wanting to read. Do things that nurture your emotions, that make you feel happy, all right? It may be simple as, taking a bubble bath that helps you relax. I know it might sound kind of silly, but, you can do that. So routine to schedule time to take care of your physical and emotional health. Have a routine and schedule it to have fun. Do something fun, whatever that is. Maybe it is, chatting with your best friend. Maybe it is, I don't know what that might be, but do something fun, okay? We need to schedule that into our routine. We also need to make a routine of having that social connection. And I'm not talking about when you're, doing this with, Zooming with friends or FaceTiming. Yeah, that's a way of social connection. But find another way for social connects. Pick up the phone, dial it. Sometimes it's nice to hear somebody's voice. Have that social connection. Do safe social distancing meetups with your friends at the parks. The weather's out nice right now. Go to parks. Have trunk picnics. Sit in the trunk of your car and have a picnic as you're talking to a friend. So having those social connections is very, very important as part of your routine. So that brings me to my last thing of how to handle this grief of the non-traditional school year. Okay. The last thing I want to say is be patient and be flexible. Be patient not only with yourself as you're learning to navigate this new school year. Be patient with yourself, but also be patient with those that are trying to guide you and teach you and coach you, whether that's your teachers, whether that's your parents, whether that's your coaches, your principals, your boss, okay? Be patient with them, because as frustrated and as upset or as much grief as you're feeling from the loss of the traditional aspect, they are too. So be patient with yourself and be patient with others. And when you're patient comes flexibility. You have to be flexible because we're all learning this together. I know when I'm doing these online workshops with students, I'm the type of person that wants to be in person. And when I'm in person, I bring snacks and candies. And anybody that knows me and knows what I do knows I do that. And so I have to be patient and flexible, knowing I can't do that right now. I have to be with students and reach them where I can. And right now, this is it, how I'm talking to you. And so I have to remember that and be flexible. And I also have to be flexible when the students are working with me, and knowing that I have to have patience because, again, they need to set their boundaries of their responsibilities. They need to go through this whole process. So those are the key things is when it comes to handling this grief that we have right now, this grief of loss of a traditional school year, we need to remember that we need to focus on what's in our control. We need to know that what's going on right now is temporary. It will change. We need to take breaks. We need to be patient and flexible with ourselves and others. We need to be respectful. We need to set routines and schedules for ourselves. And then finally, we need to set those boundaries. So those are some tips that can help us as we jump into the school year, as we jump into back into our jobs with offices opening back up and businesses and stuff like that. So those are some of the key things that can help. As kind of a takeaway, I wanted to kind of share with you 3 posters that are behind me. And when I was thinking about that word grief, and I was thinking about how we're all feeling right now with that loss of a traditional school year, I looked around my office. I'm in my office, if you haven't figured that out. And these 3 posters jumped out at me, and I thought it was great with what I wanted to talk with all of you about today. And so I'll point out this one, okay, first. And this one was hand-drawn. It was a graphic by a student at Vassar High School a couple years ago. And you can kind of see they drew an eye with a hand up, but their message was, speak out, even if your voice shakes. So right now, okay, if we go by with what we were just talking about with setting boundaries, with, scheduling your routine, being patient and flexible, some of us might be nervous to do that. And so I encourage you, like this young lady did with her graphic drawing, speak out, even if your voice shakes, because you matter. This one over here, again, this was hand-drawn for a graphic, and this was a young man at Vassar High School. So both of them went to the same high school, but different graphics. And so you can kind of see half of the drawing here was a boy. The other half was a clown, okay? And the slogan at the top was, like a clown, I put on the show, the pain is real, even if nobody knows. And so when I looked at that, that certainly got me thinking about grief. And that's another reason why I wanted to talk to you about that today, because right now, sometimes how we're feeling, we think we're alone. And that I don't want to talk about it. I'll put on a show. I'll just say I'm fine when people ask, because I think nobody understands. I'm here to tell you, we understand. Others understand. You don't have to put on a show. You don't have to. And that's kind of where I go with setting the boundaries and being patient with yourself and being flexible. And if you need to talk, or if you really are struggling, reach out, talk to a trusted adult. Because know that you're not alone and how you're feeling is temporary. And then the final one I want to point out is this one right here. You can kind of see this was a photo they took. So they created an item out of Play-Doh or clay. So that's kind of cool. But their message, and this was from Marion High School up north by the Cadillac area. But their message with this, which fit perfect, was be you, stay true, do you. And that's all we can do. And that's one of the things that we can focus on right now. And that is in our control. Be you, stay true to who you are, and do you. Which brings me to an invitation that I want to offer all of you. SLS continues to do online workshops on Tuesdays, and I invite you to participate in them. And they're open to students ages 11 on up. So parents, we want you to join in. Teachers, we want you to join in. And one of them that's coming up next Tuesday goes with this. It's about be you, do you, self-acceptance. And self-acceptance goes perfect with my message to you today on how to, handle this grief that we're feeling. We have to accept it. And it kind of goes with accepting ourselves and how we're feeling. So I hope you join me on Tuesday at 4 o'clock for Be You, Do You on self-acceptance. And you can find all that information and register at slstoday.org. Thanks for joining me today on my message, and I hope that all of you have a wonderful and adventurous school year. And know I'm here, I'm right along with you, and I can't wait to see what this school year holds for everybody. Because you know what? I'm pretty confident that all of us are going to come out, and we're going to be resilient. We're going to have new skills that we've learned because we've been patient and flexible, and we know it's only temporary, so the best is yet to come. I'll see you later.